A zookeeper once said to his monkeys, "All right, you can have 3 bananas in the morning and 4 in the afternoon." Well, the monkeys, upon hearing this, were outraged. And so the zookeeper calmed them down. He said, all right. You can have 4 bananas in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. And the monkeys were content. And the moral of that story is, just by rephrasing something doesn't signify any real change. When I was younger, I loved to go boating on the lake. It was so peaceful and so relaxing. And one day I was meditating in a boat, just relaxing, laying there with my eyes closed, trying to get in tune with my inner peace. When suddenly another boat hit my boat, and it startled me. Of course, I was angry, and I got up ready to send insults to the other person, but the boat was empty. And so I had no choice but to just lay back down, close my eyes, and find my inner peace. Well, as the sun set, I had realized that I had learned a very important lesson. From that moment on, whenever something or someone offends me, I simply find my inner peace by reminding myself the boat is empty. Every person has some irritating habit. We all have different faults, and we all have different characteristics, both bad and good. And if we all have these, then why is it that we become so irritated by people's imperfections, or we become mad that somebody isn't acting the way we think they should act? Well, whenever this happens, there's a parable I think of, and it's a fun parable, and if it helps you, please feel free to use it. There was a man who worked in a garden all the time, and he loved his garden. And one spring, a bunch of dandelions cropped up and suffocated all the other plants. So the man tried everything to get rid of the dandelions, but they kept growing and growing. And so after, the man went to a very wise sage, and he asked him, "Hey, what should I do? I cannot stop the dandelions from growing." And the sage looked at him and said, "Learn to love them." A young man went to his spiritual advisor, and he said, "Teacher, you have told me to say, 'I accept joy' in my mind. And I do. I say it to myself several times a day, every day. And yet still, I don't have any joy in my life. I don't have anyone in my life. What am I doing wrong?" And so the sage gathered up just random objects, a glass, a candle, and a spoon. And he said to the young man, "Go ahead, choose one." And the young man looked and said, "I choose the spoon." And the spiritual advisor told him, "Okay, say it out loud 5 times. And the young man said, "I choose the spoon. I choose the spoon. I choose the spoon." And he repeated it 5 times. And the spiritual advisor said to him, "See, there you go. You can say it 1,000 times, but it won't make a difference. You still don't have the spoon until you reach out and grab it." This is a parable for anyone who's feeling a little lost and looking for a way out. One day, a sage took his student to a park, which was at the bottom of a very tall hill. And in the park was a maze, and the maze had very tall walls, which were very smooth, and they were illuminated by the sun's light. And the sage took his student to the entrance, and then gave him the task of finding the exit on his own. Well, the student wondered all day, all night, and still couldn't find the exit. He was tired, exhausted, desperately looking, but it was useless. So finally, he fell to the ground, exhausted, and fell asleep. Meanwhile, when he opened his eyes, the teacher was standing there and said, "Follow me." And they immediately left the maze, walked through the forest, and up the hill. Once they reached the tallest point of the hill, the teacher pointed down and said, "Look down there." From where they were standing, you could see the entire maze, every detail. And the teacher asked the student, Can you see the exit now?" And the student said, yes, I can. If I study it closely, I can see all the details." And the teacher said, "Good, study it well, find the exit." And after a while, they went back down through the forest, back to the maze. And the teacher took the student once again to the entrance, but this time the student found the exit easily without ever getting lost. And the sage said to the student, "You've learned a very valuable lesson. Once you step out of something, once you look at something from a bigger picture, if you can step out of the situation, you can see it more clearly, and you can find your way out easily." A very wise man used to love to go to the ocean and write. And so one morning, as he was sitting at the beach writing, he noticed a figure in the distance that looked like it was dancing. Well, this delighted him, so he moved closer. Well, as he got closer, he noticed that the figure was not dancing. It was a young man peeking down, grabbing something from the shore, and throwing it in the ocean. So he moved closer to the young man and he asked, "Hey, good morning. What are you doing?" To which the young man replied, "I'm picking up starfish and I'm throwing them back in the ocean." And the wise man looked at him and said, "Well, I suppose I should have asked you, why are you picking up starfish and throwing them in the ocean?" And the young man said, "Well, the sun is coming up and the tide is going out, and I don't want the starfish to get stuck on shore. So I'm picking them up and then throwing them back." Well, the wise man said, "Yes, but there are miles and miles of beach, and there's starfish along the shore everywhere. Surely it can't possibly make a difference." And the young man very politely answered as he knelt down and picked up another one, threw it in the ocean, and he looked at him and he said, "It did to that one."